Hey guys, today we are talking about the big, the bad, the destructive, the overcompensating, the super weapon. And this is my first of two videos that I'm going to do on Star Wars super weapons. Today we are looking at the top 5 super weapons from the Legends canon. And there are a lot of super weapons in the expanded universe, so I hope you guys learned something, and we're going to rank them based on their pure destructive force. And they don't necessarily have to be able to blow a planet up with a laser beam, but how much destruction the super weapon can output is how they are going to be ranked. That being said, we're also going to consider how actually useful it is as a weapon, how defensible it is, how movable it is, how often it can fire, or how often it can be used, etc. Number 5 on our list is the Gree Dark Matter device, and this only appears in one book, and the book is called Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void, and I've actually never seen this super weapon discussed on the internet or mentioned before, so I had to do a little digging for this one. I actually read a good portion of the book to get reminded of what this thing does. So the Dawn of the Jedi books are kind of interesting because they take place way, way long ago, before even the Old Republic, 25,000 years before the Battle of Yavin, in fact. There's not even really Jedi at one point. There's like a precursor to Jedi, but they're not the Jedi that we know and love. Anyway, one of the pre-Jedi wants to leave his solar system and explore the rest of the galaxy, which is very difficult at this point because there's no real hyperspace travel. And he finds what he thinks is some sort of ancient technology that will allow him to do so. And it is in fact ancient technology, but it's not meant to help you travel through star systems, or at least that's not its main purpose. It's a dark matter generator, and it's actually a dark matter bomb. So this thing is extremely destructive, and when used, and when the dark matter bomb is activated, basically, and when dark matter touches regular matter, it creates a black hole, and a black hole is obviously an extremely destructive force. And in fact, this weapon is probably the most destructive on the list, because a black hole can really destroy everything without, able to be stopped once activated. However, where this weapon kind of falls flat is that it's not really, you can't protect it. It's not a ship. It's not movable unless you move it around physically. It's a bomb instead of a weapon, and that's a little bit inconvenient. Another thing is that even in this 25,000 years before the Battle of Yavin, this technology then is considered arcane and ancient, and even they don't know how it would work. So just because of the mystery around this, and although it's got highly destructive powers, I think it only deserves the number 5 spot. That being said, the idea of hypergates and dark matter and ancient Jedi and even more ancient civilizations are all very, very interesting, and I enjoyed the bits of this book that I read, so I would recommend it for you guys. Number 4 on my list is the Sun Razor, and I just want to say right off the bat that I knew before filming I either wanted to include this one or the Starforge, and I chose to go with this one. Both super weapons are basically giant machines which harvest the power of a sun to build things. And in fact, the Sun Razor was inspired in its design and its function by the Starforge. So basically what the Sun Razor did is it took all of the power from a star and used it to create a super weapon. And power consumption when creating a super weapon is really a big deal. So what would usually take, 10 or more years because of just the sheer amount of energy you need would take, a year or less. So yeah, it's a super weapon that creates super weapons. It's basically a super weapon inception. The Sun Razor was created about 3,500 years before the Battle of Yavin and was managed by a Sith Lord named Darth Makis. She used the Sun Razor to create at least 5 different super weapons. Of those that we know are the Gauntlet, which is classified as a light speed cannon and could basically shoot ships out of hyperspace. The Emperor's Shadow, which is basically some sort of stealth ship. The Undying, a very large and powerful capital ship. The Ascendant Spear, which was considered a super weapon due to its extremely fast hyperdrive engine for the time. And the Silencer, which was basically a giant laser you could attach to a capital ship and which could wipe out an entire fleet. So although some would say that the Sun Razor is basically just a really efficient power generator, I'm going to say that based on the fact that it allowed the Sith Empire to accumulate so many super weapons that it deserves number 4 on this list. Number 3 is the second Death Star, and I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about this one because I know you guys have all seen Return of the Jedi, and you all know how badass the second Death Star is. And really, if it weren't for Emperor Palpatine getting overly cocky and allowing the rebels to attack a half-completed and completely open Death Star, I mean, that thing would have been pretty much indestructible. And I know there's been some confusion about the size of the Death Star compared to the Death Star 1, and people thought that it was like 5 or 6 times bigger. It's actually only the same size, but that doesn't matter because, to be honest, without the flaw in the first Death Star, that thing would have been pretty much indestructible as well. The second Death Star also improved on the first by being able to fire with super laser more often, and it also slightly increased the amount of laser cannons and turbo lasers it had. And I mean, it also had a really sweet throne room for Emperor Palpatine. And I know a lot of people like to favor various weapons in Legends canon over the Death Star 2, but just the fact that this thing would have been almost, as I said, indestructible had it actually been completed. So, I don't know, I just really don't think you can argue with it. Like, this thing can blow up a planet in 2 seconds. And that's really all there is to it. The second most powerful superweapon in Star Wars Legends is the Galaxy Gun. And this was a superweapon used by the Empire after Emperor Palpatine was reborn about 7 or so years after the Battle of Endor. And what puts the Galaxy Gun ahead of the Death Star for me is its range. So the Galaxy Gun can shoot its projectiles through hyperspace and actually blow a planet up from a very far distance. It would fire its missile, basically, which was called a particle disintegrator, and it would put it through hyperspace, and then it would come out at sublight speeds close to the planet. Due to its speed, it was really hard to detect the projectiles, and even if it had been detected by an opposing force, the projectiles had laser cannons and thick plating, so they were able to resist attacks from enemies. The Galaxy Gun was also very versatile, and you could change the power level, so instead of destroying a whole planet, you just level a continent, or you could use it to hit faster moving targets like spaceships or smaller targets like Moon, and none of that was a problem for the Galaxy Gun. The Galaxy Gun was only really destroyed because R2-D2, as we all know, is a total pimp and managed to fly an Eclipse-class dreadnought into the superweapon at the Battle of Onderon, and we discussed that in my previous video, Top 5 Largest Space Battles. But just the versatility, the range, the accuracy, and the destructive force of the Galaxy Gun put it at number 2 for me. So the number 1 most powerful superweapon in the Star Wars universe is the Sun Crusher, and it's really not even close. And this thing is overpowered in almost every respect. It can destroy an entire star system by blowing up a sun. So you'd hear that it can destroy a sun, you'd think, oh, this must be some 10-kilometer long behemoth, but no, it's like 15 meters long. It's pretty much a starfighter. It's fast, it's mobile, it's hard to hit, and if you do hit it, it's probably really not going to matter because, I mean, this thing survived a glancing blow from a prototype Death Star super laser, so I mean, good luck destroying it. And on another occasion, Han literally drove it through a Star Destroyer. Basically, the MO of anyone smart in a Sun Crusher is you sneak in to a solar system that you don't like anymore, you blow their sun up, which has the effect of not only destroying any planets in close enough range, but also destabilizing the rest of the system. The only way that the good guys managed to get rid of this thing, and of course this was a bad guy thing, like good guys don't blow up solar systems, but the only way they were able to do it is basically to drive it into a black hole. So for just its pure comic book level of silliness, the Sun Crusher is the number 1 most powerful superweapon in the Star Wars galaxy. So that's my top 5 list, the 5 most powerful superweapons in the Legends canon, and I kind of purposely went out of my way to avoid any ships that we might have covered in previous videos, so I perhaps could have included one of the Eclipse dreadnoughts, but I didn't. But let me know what you think. Did I miss something important? I mean, there's so many superweapons in Legends canon that it's possible. I think it's pretty good, but let me know if you would change something out or switch the order around or something. And if you like this list, please subscribe, because the canon version of this list, and yes, there are at least 5 superweapons in the current Star Wars canon. That list is going to come out either later this weekend or in the coming week. So it's now time for the community spotlight, and today I'm doing something a little different. I actually saw a video that I really liked, and it was by one of the people that is always posting great things on my videos. His name is Team Phasma, and him and some of his friends recently did a really thorough, detailed The Force Awakens discussion, and from what I understand, they're going to do Rogue One soon, so you guys should check that channel out. I'm going to link to the video I just referred to in the description. It's like an hour long. It's pretty much like a Star Wars podcast. So yeah, check that out, guys. You won't be disappointed. I listened to almost the whole thing, and it was really entertaining. And besides that, as always, post in the comments any questions you guys want me to address, either in a rambling video or in the Q&A. And follow me on Twitter, join the Discord and the Reddit. And as always, I love you guys. May the Force be with you.